Oh yeah, look at this. Oh shit. I'll go sailing.
Yeah. I mean, I sat there with a blow dryer. You
See a damn hurricane.
Blow dried it, washed it again, blow dried it, and
like, oh, time to go get a drink.
right up. I was really surprised.
500 acres. Then north of that, there's like 9,000 acres of preserve that's allowed recreational hunting, fishing, and all of that. I work with a land trust. We're trying to buy the last piece at the very end. There's like 50 acres that has the Ore House bar used to.
Yeah, we were talking about that place, the Ore House.
Yeah, we're trying to preserve that so that that will not be some little, you know.
Like it was on our way in with all the development and stuff.
Yeah. And that connects to the marsh that's up in the Ponte Vedra, you know, chain of lakes and all that. So anyway, this is one of those kinds of days in the winter where it will start out cold, and there'll actually be some people probably hot today. Once we get like to, you know, midday, 1 o'clock or so, we're going to walk about 4 miles. I think it's maybe 4.5. We're going to start just going down to the beach here and looking at, this is a little different dune situation here, as you can see. It's we're just going to talk about right here, this little scrubby dune area, and then we'll get in the cars, we'll drive down a block, and we'll wind up on the other side of that green roof building down there, which is a little interpretive nature center, which we'll look at the end of the trip. Okay. I wanted, while I have you here as a group, I wanted to say I really, really enjoyed the PowerPoints. Y'all did an incredible job on them. The grades, I think, can't remember if I put them in, but if they're not there now, they'll be there.
Yeah, I saw mine.
Okay. Grades are in. I did have, so I talked to Michael about his. His didn't actually go up for some reason, even though he tried. And then Sharice was not here. I didn't get one for her. And I got everybody's exam. That'll be graded and up by Friday, so you'll know where you stand. So,
are we going to have a project for the end of the day today?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a group test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got my notebook out. Just check.
All you need with you today, Yvonne, did you remember the binoculars?
I brought 3 pairs of.
Okay.
Yep,
okay.
I brought 3 pairs of binoculars.
So here's what we'll do. We'll go down these steps. We'll come back to the cars. Probably get in them. Go over here. And by that time, we may be able to shed a layer of clothes. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll get out a little of this wind, I imagine. So, y'all ready?
What was that?
That's what I'm trying to do.
This is bird. By the way, the American kestrel, which is looks like a small hawk, is a bird that we will probably see today, and it's going to wind up sitting on the wires. It looks like a little hawk, about, you know, just about this high. Certainly, we'll see. Yeah, it's got a split tail. We'll also see osprey, and there's an eagle's nest. When we get into the actual building, they actually have a telescope on an eagle's nest that's across on the island on the other side of the water. Do y'all remember when we talked about the beach dune succession and how we go from this little ripple of sand that gets colonized by plants right here? And we work our way inland. And some people did beach dune with their PowerPoint. What do we call that first little holdout where the plants first grab a hold of the sand?
The berm?
Yes.
The berm.
So we have a berm here, and that berm right there, you see, we have a berm right here. That'll inch its way this way during the summer when the waves are small. But you have 2 beach profiles. You have a winter profile, which is very steep because because of the high energy of the big waves that tend to eat out the beach, and you get this steep beach, and you can see it's pretty steep here. You come, and this is a steep beach to begin with. Ponte Vedra is much more steep than, say, Jacksonville Beach or St. Augustine Beach. In the summertime, you get these nice, easy waves coming in, and you don't have the big storms. The beach flattens out. Many times you get a sandbar offshore. But so, if this is the berm, then that's the foredune right there. And then there's a highway. Okay.
Is that a part of the natural ecosystem?
Yeah, that's really natural. And in some places, A1A has gone under the water, like you all go south of St. Augustine, Anastasia Park. You can see where A1A used to go, and now it just stops, and it would be it'd be underneath the Atlantic Ocean, and so they've had to redirect it inland, several hundred yards, and it's still not in good shape. So, berm, foredune, interdune. The secondary dune here really is very, very gradual. You can see it back there, but if you go down 10 miles this way, they're 40 feet high. So they get pretty good size. The unusual thing about this, it's such a narrow strand of beach, it doesn't really go to maritime forest. Like at Cumberland Island, for example, you go across a couple of dunes and you're in a forest with trees 50 feet high. And we won't see those until we get on the next island. So think of this as a barrier island, and where we'll be walking this afternoon across the dam is the old barrier island, when the ocean was higher and it developed since then. And of course, we went through an ice age about 10,000 years ago. The ocean went way out, and now, of course, it's coming back big time, like 3 inches per century in depth of water, something like 3 inches. So, okay. One of the questions on your test this afternoon will be, give me 6 or 7 factors that change as you go from berm to forest. What happens? Give me a half a dozen factors, either living factors or biotic factors or abiotic factors, living or non-living, that change as we look at this community, this environment versus that one. What are some things come to mind?
Between shore and secondary
change.
Between the berm and the maritime forest.
Water.
The plants change, right?
And think about our soil analysis. What
soil changes?
Yeah, what can you say about the living community? Forgetting individual species.
Short.
Now, I'm not talking about, well,
Hardy, hard to eradicate.
Yeah, these are very hardy. These are very hardy. There are very few species.
They can tolerate salt.
You get back here where it gets more moderate, and you have a much higher diversity of plants and animals.
Look at the way the plants are shaped.
Out here you have sea oats, and you have.
Isn't that the beach elder right there?
That's beach elder. You have glasswort. You've got railroad vine. You got about 6 or 8 plants, and that's it.
Sawgrass?
Not so much sawgrass because it's not wet. It's too dry.
Right.
So higher diversity as you go back. What about the soil? What's it do? You know that.
It goes from very
salty to less salty. What about the fertility?
When you get to the marsh.
In the marsh, it increases.
Yeah,
the marsh.
In the marsh.
What about the fertility of the soil?
It's not very fertile at the beach.
Yeah,
What about the amount of moisture in the soil?
It increases.
What about the shade?
Increases.
What about the variation in temperature, wind?
It changes.
It all gets more moderate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wind, dryness.
Right. There's more erosion here.
More stable,
Yeah.
and thus more niches.
Right.
Okay. So that'll be one of your questions. Let's come on out.